Hello friends, welcome back. My name is Carmen and I'm the Star Lady, and I am bringing to you a video for the astrology for the first week of September. I know for August in my inaugural video I did the whole month, and I'm trying a different format today, so probably for the next couple of months I'll try this out. That way I'm able to get a little bit more into the weeds of the transits that are happening for us and how those transits might be showing up for us. So I wanted to start with the first week of September. So right out of the gate, we have a major transit happening. So we have Saturn on Monday, September 1st, retrograding back into the sign of Pisces. So Saturn has been in the sign of Aries since about the 25th of May of this year. So we're looking at about just over 2 months. He's been in Aries, and now on Monday, September 1st, he's going to be retrograding back into Pisces. And when we have a planet retrograding back into a previous sign, what that archetypally can actually look like for us is that any of the stories that were being written during that planet's time in that sign will be revisited. So Saturn was in Pisces from about March 7th, 2023 until May 25th of this year, 2025. And so during that, I think that's about 2 years, 4 months, during that time, there was a story that Saturn was writing. And that story will be uniquely designed for each one of us, right? He's in Pisces in a feminine water sign. So it's not a particularly comfortable place for Saturn to be. Saturn is not about his feelings, and Pisces is very much about her feelings. And so Saturn is spending some time in a sign now, as he did previously, where he's a little bit out of his comfort zone. So this is a feminine water sign. Saturn is masculine or yang energy, and he's cold and dry. So he's not, the elements of Saturn don't mix with the elements of Pisces. Pisces is also ruled by Jupiter, who is currently in another water sign, Cancer. So as Saturn is spending time here in Pisces, he's able to have a conversation with Jupiter about his time in the sign of Pisces. So what that will look for you, depending on where Pisces is in your zodiacal wheel, some of the themes, the stories that were being written during this time, March 7th, 2023 to May 25th of this year. Saturn's coming back to tie up any loose ends, cross all T's, dot all I's, and kind of put those stories to rest, bring them to completion. So during this time, and Saturn's going to be hanging out in Pisces until about February 14th, happy Valentine's Day, of 2026. And so for these next 6 months, there's going to be a finalization around these stories for you. So I would invite you to think back to that time of March 7th, 2023 to May of this year, and some of the themes that were going on for you, because likely they're going to be brought up for you again with Saturn transiting Pisces. So then on February 14th of 2026, Saturn will move back into Aries, and any of the themes that you've been experiencing in these last 2 months will likely be restarted again for you. So we're doing a little bit of reflection. We're being invited back to reflect on that time and to bring to completion some of those issues that we were dealing with at that time. Then on September 2nd, we have Mercury moving into Virgo. Now, as you will know, we had Mercury in retrograde in Leo, and I really felt that. A lot of technical hiccups for me during that time. So now we have Mercury, who is the god of communication, of thinking, of the marketplace, of finance and systems, moving into Virgo, a sign which Mercury rules, and a sign that they are exalted in. So Mercury is having a great time hanging out in this sign. So just pay attention to that. You're going to likely be having some clarity of thinking and communication, and perhaps some like precision happening around some of the details that you are, or the practical details in your life. And then on September 3rd, Mercury from Virgo will be squaring Uranus in Gemini, which is also ruled by Mercury. So Mercury is kind of in charge of Uranus at this time. Uranus is at the behest of Mercury and looking to serve Mercury's purposes in Gemini. And so what you might find with this communication between Mercury and Uranus is you might be finding that you're actually thinking quite quickly, that you're coming up with original and inventive thoughts or ideas, that you have a flexibility and an openness to new ideas. There might be some like verbal play that's happening depending on where these two signs fall in your chart. You know, it could be at work, it could be in your relationships, it could be in your home life, that you're finding this kind of like fluid, like dynamic, inspirational communication happening. Some of the shadow side of this transit could be a restlessness or an overstimulation. Some erratic thinking. Though Uranus is a liberator, he can also kind of border on like a little bit of the, like what is happening? So some erratic thinking, and surprisingly a lack of focus could also be a part of the shadow side that you're finding here. There could also be a sense of increased self-importance or arrogance, and also some stubbornness that you might be experiencing yourself or experiencing in other people. So again, this is likely to last a day to 3 days. It's not going to be a long period of time because Mercury moves quite quickly. So we'll be moving on from that interaction with Uranus on the 3rd. But, from the 3rd to about the 6th, even the 2nd as this transit is looking to come into fruition. So from about the 2nd to the 6th, you might be experiencing some of these themes. And then moving on to the 4th of September, there's a lot happening in the first week of September. We have Mars squaring Jupiter. So Mars is in Libra currently, and I know in August I did some horoscopes around Mars and Libra and how you could be experiencing that. So if you want to think back to some of what was shared there, some of those themes could be kind of underscored or emphasized with this square happening between Mars and Jupiter. So what you might be experiencing is some really positive energy, some exuberant energies, a sense of wholehearted confidence, like, yeah, I got this, I can do this. And a synergistic feeling about things, like this kind of like symbiotic, like things are kind of really flowing smoothly, like they're going well. Now, Mars is also a malefic, so sometimes there's always a shadow side to things, right? So some of the shadow side you might be experiencing during with this transit of Mars squaring Jupiter is maybe kind of an overblown sense of confidence or a haughty opinion of yourself. There might be a sense of like increased swagger, that like a difference between, yeah, I got this, to like, yeah, I totally got this. I know what I'm doing. Like, forget everybody else. I got this, that kind of like overblown sense of arrogance, right? Also a tendency maybe to be overbearing, Jupiter, it likes to increase things. So this martial energy around like confidence and courage and getting things done can come across as a little bit overbearing. So those are some of the energies, either the more like exuberant energies, wholehearted confidence, or like the arrogance or having a haughty opinion of yourself. These are some of the energies that you can be experiencing with this transit, which will last a little bit longer. Jupiter is quite a slow moving planet, and Mars is faster than Jupiter, but not as fast as, say, Venus or Mercury. So this will probably last you, I'd say, maybe about a week, a sense of these energies. And then on September 6th, we have the planet Uranus, which is currently in Mercury sign of Gemini, going retrograde. And often when we have planets go retrograde, what that can be indicative is a sense of delay in some of the things that are happening in our life. So depending on where Gemini is in your chart, there you will likely be sensing some kind of hiccups or delays or redirection around some of the things that Uranus has been archetypally showing up in your life about. So like perhaps an exciting idea that you had is, you've had to put it on the back burner, or, you're finding out that those big changes that were, coming down the pipeline at work are delayed, or a timeline gets altered for a particular project. November 7th, Uranus is going to be retrograding back into Taurus. And so like I shared with, the story around Saturn going back into Pisces, there's going to be a revisiting of some of the themes that came up for you while Uranus was in Taurus. And I'll talk a little bit more about that come November. So we can explore some of or what that might look like. Perhaps I'll do some horoscopes for that. So anyway, you might be, some of these kind of exuberant things that have been coming up for you, you might find a little bit of a lagging or a delay in some of those things. And again, it depends on where Gemini is in your chart. If it's in your first house, it could be around like self-development. It's in your seventh house, it could be around possibly a new relationship you were starting. If it's in your fourth house, it could be like a home project you were really excited to get started. There's some delays. Or in your 10th house, it could be something like, you had this new position come out at work and your bosses said, hey, we've just crunched the numbers and we're going to have to delay that to the new year, or something like that. Anyway, so all of this to say there just might be a little bit of a hiccup around some of these exciting things that were happening for you. And again, I'll explore a little bit more about Uranus in Taurus and also Uranus in Gemini and what you can expect when Uranus comes back into Gemini after retrograding into Taurus. Now, what I really wanted to talk about today is the lunar eclipse that's happening on the 7th of September. So this eclipse is happening in the sign of Pisces. And as you remember at the beginning of this video, I talked a little bit about Saturn being in Pisces. So while this lunar eclipse is happening, it's going to be what we call co-present with Saturn. So Saturn's going to be hanging out in the same sign. So there will be, Saturn's going to color or flavor a little bit of that eclipse. But the good news is Jupiter, who rules this eclipse, rules Pisces. Both the moon, who is being eclipsed, and Saturn can see Jupiter. So Jupiter is in communication with these planets. So there's a supportive energy around this lunar eclipse that's happening on Saturday, September 7th. And eclipses generally in and of themselves can speak to endings and beginnings. So themes around, depending on where Pisces falls in your chart, something coming to an end and something new being born. So, and these energies of the eclipse can last for about 6 months. So you'll be seeing likely some shifts and changes. And it could be around or have a Saturnian nature simply because Saturn is present. And though Saturn is a malefic, we think good and bad in these binary terms. That's actually not the way Saturn should be engaged with. Saturn is like a father who disciplines his children. Saturn's about bringing boundaries. Saturn is actually wanting what's best for you, but requiring you to work really hard for it. So Saturn also is in charge of mystics and is very spiritual. And the moon can represent, the moon is a goddess, can be spiritual as well. So there could be some themes coming up around drawing boundaries, around spirituality, around hard work and discipline. Some things that are coming to an end and some things that are beginning. So I'd be interested to hear how this lunar eclipse is impacting you. So that's my summary for the first week of September. What I'm looking to do is I'd love to do some horoscopes for this lunar eclipse. So I'm hoping to get that out for you by the end of the week, so you can take a look at how or what area this eclipse energy will be showing up for you. As well, I'd love to do some tarot for you, maybe per sign, just pull a couple of cards just to offer some advice and support for you as you journey into this new month of September. Often it's seen as the new year because everything else is starting back up. So I'm really hoping that this first week of September is good to you, is gentle, and that the energies carry you through. So I hope you're taking care. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.